The world of advanced technology and the world of ancient magic have always remained separated. But now both worlds are about to clash with each other. Smart and Non-Pervet Issei. Made in conjunction with Brave Kid. Chapter 1. War Red Dragon Emperor. War Red Dragon Emperor. Not too long ago, a group of scientists created a new form of advanced artificial intelligence. These new AIs were placed inside new and powerful robots. These robots soon became known as next-generation cybernetic knights, commonly referred to as CY Knights. The CY Knights quickly integrated themselves into modern society. They are known found in everyday life, in police, in business and even in homes. Kids with CY Knights created a new sport where CY Knights engage one another in battle and became known as CY Knight Wars. But no, the modern science will now clash with ancient magic in an epic tale. And that tale begins now. A young boy is running down the sidewalk. The boy is about 17-year-old Japanese male. He has a lean build and is 5 inches 7. He has short brown hair that spikes up at the back and spikes over the back of his neck. He also has several long bangs in front. He has bright brown, almost golden eyes. He's wearing a black blazer with white accents, over a long-sleeved white dress shirt with black highlights, both of which are opened up showing a red t-shirt, and he has a pair of black pants. He has blue sneakers with white trims and laces. In his left hand is a brown satchel. Aw man. I can't believe I overslept. I'm going to be in so much trouble with Keicho if I'm late, mutters the young male, as he speeds up. The young boy soon reaches a large set of gate. The boy runs straight through the gates. Ah, made it, sighs the brunette, as he bends over and rests his hands on his knees as he catches his breath. Cutting it a little close today, aren't you Hyodo-san? Asks a mature female voice. Ah, Keicho, says the spiky-haired boy, as he quickly turns around. He sees a young woman, who's about 18-year-old and foreign, possibly European. She's a little shorter than the boy, at 5 inches 5 feet and has a slim figure. She has black hair done into a bob cut with a small yellow hair clip. She has violet eyes with a pair of thin magenta-rimmed, oval glasses. She has slim hips and waist and a small bust. She's wearing a long-sleeved white dress shirt with black highlights, just like the boy, but hers is neatly done up. She has a black ribbon around her neck, a black shoulder cape with white highlights and a matching buttoned-up corset. She also has a short magenta skirt with white accents and a pair of knee-high white socks, with a pair of brown dress shoes. And she currently has her arms crossed under her chest and has a slightly angry expression. Gamanese, Keicho. I forgot to set my alarm clock last night, so I overslept. Apologies the brunette, as he bows. It's fine, Hyodo-san, just don't let it happen again, replies the young woman, as his eyes soften and she lets her arms fall to her side. Alright Keicho, responds the young male, as he straightens up. His eyes then widen slightly as he remembers something. Oh, Keicho, before I forget, I'm sorry but I couldn't fix the hard drive you had me looked at. But I was able to salvage all of the documents and files you had on it and I transferred them all onto this USB stick and don't worry I swear I didn't alter a thing. States the young man, as he rummages through his bag and brings out a small USB stick and offers it to the young woman. Arigato Hyodo-san. If we had lost all that data, it would have caused the student council a lot of problems, says the glasses-wearing girl, as she takes the USB stick from. I'm just happy that I could help Keicho and I suggest that you make backups of your files and update it at least once a week, recommends the spiky-haired boy. I'll remember to do so, responds the black-haired girl. Okay, now I better get to class, says the brown-eyed Japanese male. Sayonara Keicho. Sayonara Hyodo-san, replies the young woman. The brunette then walks off. The young woman just looks at the boy as he walks off, until he's out of sight. She then closes her eyes and smiles slightly. Well, Sona. You seem to be quite interested in him. Comes another female voice from behind the now-named Sona. The bespectacled youth turns around and she sees another girl. This girl is about 18 like Sona. She appears to be European and has white skin and is taller than Sona and the brunette, at 5 inches 8 feet and she has a slim figure. She has long crimson red colored hair that reaches down to her thighs. She has several loose bangs covering her forehead and side bangs framing her face, with a single strand standing up. She has bluish green eyes. She has an hourglass figure, with wide hips, a thin waist and large breasts. She's wearing the same uniform as Sona. Sona lets out a tired sigh. "What do you want, Rias?" asks the bob-style haired girl. "I just want to see what kind of interest in Isay-kun," replies Rias. He's very interesting. He has a high level of technological knowledge and he's willing to help anyone in any way he can. He started the robotics club here. And he doesn't deserve the reputation he has with the female population, replies the black-haired girl. True. He is very sweet and kind. Too bad those two perverts misused his trust and used the skills he taught them to make a drone to peep on girls. Mutters the red-haired girl. But I'm thinking that you may want to make him a part of your peerage. Maybe I do. His technological knowledge could be useful and he seems to be quite a good teacher. And we both know that he has a sacred gear, states Sona. True. And we can both tell that his is a powerful one, adds Rias. She then gains a look of deep thought. And maybe it's powerful enough to help me with my problem. Sona sees her friend's look. You're thinking that his sacred gear could be strong enough to help you get out of your engagement, aren't you? Asks the short-haired female. Maybe. Mutters the long-haired young lady. Let's forget about this for now. Classes are about to start soon and we be late. Sighs the violet-eyed girl. Hi, responds her friend. Both of them then walk towards class. Later after school had finished, Isay is walking on his own, towards the gate. Man. Classes seem to be getting harder. Well, I suppose that's to be expected, says Isay. Watch out. Calls out a male voice. Out of the way, shouts a different boy's voice. Huh? Mutters the spiky-haired boy, as he turns to the source of the voices and his eyes widen in shock at he sees. He sees two boys running at a high speed. One has a buzz cut and has a rather monkey-like face. He is wearing the same uniform as Isay, except he has his shirt done up, except for the top button. But he leaves his blazer open. He also has brown dress shoes instead of sneakers like Isay. The second has short black hair and has thick square glasses that are so thick that they act like one-way mirrors. He's wearing the same uniform as the other boys, but his shirt and blazer are both fully done up and he has a black ribbon tied up in a bow around his neck. "M. Matsuda-san? M. Motohama-san?" stutter the spiky brunette. And then he notices the most important fact he notices, is that they are running straight towards them. "Oh no," mutters Isay. The two of them then rush straight past him, accidentally causing Isay to fall over and land on his back. "Oh. Well, that hurt," groans the spiky-haired boy, as he pushes himself into a sitting position and rubs the back of his head, with his eyes shut in pain. Several shadows then fall over him and when he opens his eyes he sees it. Oh, gulps the brown-eyed boy. He then looks up and pales. In front of him are a group of girls, each of them are in kendo uniforms. Two of them stand out in the front. One has short strawberry blonde hair with two long bangs and a light yellow headband. She also has dark brown eyes. She also has a nice figure. The second has long brown hair, that's a bit darker than Isay's. And her hair is kept up in a ponytail by a red ribbon. She also has lighter brown eyes and shares her friend's nice figure. And all of the girls look very mad. And to make things worse, each of them are holding a shinai. "If it isn't Hyodo Baka," says the strawberry blonde. "No doubt looking for those pervert friends to talk about some disgusting pervert thing," adds the female brunette. "Kei Kate-san, M. Murayama-san. Please calm down. Please," whimpers Isay. "Perverts like you need to be taught a lesson," states Kate. Both of them then raise their wooden swords and prepare to attack the innocent boy, as Isay tightly closes his eyes and braces himself for an undeserved beating. "Hold it right there," shouts a female's voice, causing everyone to stop in their tracks. After a second, Isay cracks his eyes open and he sees that the two shinais are just over an inch away from his face. That's too close for comfort, thinks the Hyodo male as a single drop of sweat rolls down the side of his head. He then turns his head slightly to see his saver. He easily recognizes them. Yura-sama? His rescuer is a tall girl. She has white skin. She has long blue hair and blue eyes. Her face is rather boyish, but still has a bit of feminine charm. She's wearing the girl's uniform, except she has her sleeves rolled up, past the elbow. She also has a blue band around her left wrist and she also has a pair of black stockings. What exactly is going on here? Questions the brunette. Tsubasa-sama. We were just about to teach this pervert a lesson, explains Murayama. Yeah, he deserves this, adds Katase. Really? Well, I know Isay here pretty well and I know that he's not a pervert. So I'm thinking that you caught those two idiots, Matsuda and Motohama, peeking on you girls, and when they realized that they'd been found out, they ran away and knocked over Isay. Then you saw him and thought that he was involved, right? Wonders Tsubasa. But, I know he's involved somehow, counters the strawberry blonde. Right. He's nothing but a filthy pervert, adds the brunette. Oh really? And what proof do you have? I mean, if you're accusing him of something, you must have some evidence, right? So, what is it? Questions the tomboy. Well. Mutters Katase, as she averts her eyes. You see. Stutters Murayama, as she just looks away. Tsubasa just sighs and crosses her arms. How about you let the poor guy go? And by the way, I just saw those two morons over there. Says the blue-eyed girl, as she points off to her right. The girls then all straighten up and run off in the direction the brunette is pointing. A few seconds later, very loud and pain-filled screams are heard. What idiots! Mutters Tsubasa, as she shakes her head. She then turns to Isay, who's still on the ground. She extends her right hand out in front of Isay, with a bright smile on her face. Here, let me help you up, Isay. Arigato Yura-sama. Thanks the spiky-haired boy, as he takes her hand, and she pulls him to his feet. He then dusts himself. Isay. I told you, you can just call me Tsubasa, says the blue-haired tomboy. Gomennasai Tsubasa-sama. Apologies the spiky-haired boy as he bends over and picks up his bag. Tsubasa just sighs and puts her hands on her hips. She has a small smile on her face. I guess that's as good as I'm going to get from you, isn't it? Asks Tsubasa. Whatever. Listen, I have to go and do some work for the student council. So sayonara, Isay. Sayonara, Tsubasa. Responds Isay. The brunette then turns and leaves. Maybe I can finally complete that scanner I've been working on, mutters the spiky-haired brunette. Meanwhile, in an old Victorian-styled house near the school, Rias is sitting in a room in the second floor. The room is a wood-paneled room with a large Victorian-style couch and several chairs along the walls, with a table in the middle, and Rias not alone. In the room are three other people. One is a girl, that's the same age as Rias. She's a little shorter than her red-haired friend at 5 inches 6 feet, and she has pale skin, and she has slightly larger breasts than Rias and a slightly slimmer waist. She very long black hair, that she keeps up in a high ponytail, by a large orange ribbon done in a bow, but her hair still reaches down to her legs. She also has two long strands that stick out from the top and slope backwards. The girl has violet-colored eyes. She's wearing the girl's uniform just like Rias, except her socks are black, as opposed to white like Rias. The second girl is 16 years old, but she looked physically younger. She is petite and slim at only 4 inches 6 feet and a very small bust. She has white hair that's done in bob cut, except for two long bangs that go past her shoulders and several loose bangs over her forehead. She has black cat-shaped hair clips on both sides of her hair. She also has hazel-colored eyes. She's wearing the same uniform as the other girls, with black socks, but she lacks the shoulder cape. The final person in the room is a boy, and he is about 17 years old and he's 5 inches 8. He has light skin and is obviously European in descent. He has short blonde hair and light gray eyes. He has a small mole under his left eye. He's wearing the male school uniform. Rias is sitting in one of the chairs at the end of the table. The small white-haired girl is sitting on couch, with the boy standing at attention on the opposite side of the table. The black-haired girl is just finishing pouring Rias a cup of tea. Arigato Akeno. Thanks the busty red head. Ah then takes a sip of the tea, then puts the tea back on the table. Delicious. Arigato Rias. Replies Akeno. Now, down to business. I have found someone that should make an excellent addition to our group. States Rias. Oh really? And who is our potentially new member? Asks the ponytailed girl. His name is Hyodo Isay. States the red-haired girl, as she puts a picture of said boy on the table. I've heard of him. He's very good with technology from what I heard and is a big fan of CY Knights. But I don't see what could make him so special, says the blonde boy. Well, I've been able to confirm that Isay-kun holds a sacred gear and from what I can tell it's a powerful one. replies Rias.
Oh, that right? Asks Akino. That's correct. But we must work fast if we want to secure him for ourselves. States the young red-haired girl. Kaneko, I want you to keep an eye on him. Okay. Replies the smallest girl in the room. Good. And Kiba, I need you to do the same, but I also need to look into something else. Orders the red-haired girl. I'll tell you what exactly later, understood?
Hi, Rias-sama. Responses Kiba. Not to be rude, but why are you in such a hurry to get him? Asks Akano. Because it seems Sona is interested in recruiting him for her group as well, explains her friend. Oh, Sona's interested in him. Well then he must be special. Purrs the ponytailed girl as she looks at the picture of Isay with a lustful glint in her eyes. On the other end of the table is a chessboard and on it are 5 red crystal chess pieces. A king, a queen, 1 bishop, 1 knight and 1 rook. At the same time in the office of the student council, Sona is sitting at a oak desk and is on a computer. The computer shows the same picture of Isay, Rias has and a few more details, and Sona isn't alone. Standing beside her is a young woman, who's about 18-year-old and 5 inches 7. She have long straight black hair that goes all the way down to her knees. She has 2 different colored eyes with her right eye being light brown and her left eye is violet. She's wearing the female uniform and she has a pair of light blue semi-rimmed glasses, with square lens. So this is the boy you've gotten so interested in? Asks the taller one of them. Yes, Tsubaki. He's skilled and add to that he has a potential's powerful sacred gear. I have to move fast if I wish to get him on my side, states Sona. Nearby the 2 of them is a chessboard and on this one are several blue crystal chess pieces. A king, a queen, 2 bishops, 2 knights and 2 rooks. A bit later Isay is in a small rather run-down room. Isay is tinkering away at a small device. There we go, mutters the spiky-haired boy as he puts down his tools and puts a casing on his device. Now he has a light gray futuristic flip phone-like devices. The device has several buttons on the lower half and a large screen on the top half, with a small antenna coming from the bottom half. Here we go. He then presses one of the buttons on the device. The screen of the device then starts up and displays a basic map of the area. Alright, it's working, cheers the technologically adept brunette. He then notices something on the screen. There are several blips on the screen. There are a total of 15 blips, 13 of which are black, 1 is gray and the last one is red and it's right where he is. Huh. I wonder what those blips mean. He then notices a clock on the wall and realizes the time. Oh man. I have to get home or Ka-san's gonna be mad. He then quickly gathers up his stuff, grabs his bag and puts his new device in his pocket and quickly leaves the room and remembers to lock the door behind him. He soon runs out of the school gates. Unfortunately he doesn't look where he's going and bumps into someone, causing them both to fall back. Ow. Man. That's the second time today. Groans Isay. He looks forwards and see who he accidentally hit. It's a young girl about the same age as him. She has long black hair that reaches the middle of her back and has violet eyes. She's wearing a dark red blazer with a gold letter P on the left lapel, over a white dress shirt and a red bow. She has a short green skirt with a thin white stripe around the lower end of it. She also has large breasts, but was rather short. Owie. Mutters the attractive girls. Gomenasai. I wasn't looks where I was going. Apologies the spikes-haired boy, with a heavy blush on his cheeks. It's alright. Replies the black-haired girl. She then gets up and grabs her brown bag that she had accidentally dropped. She then stands up. She then takes a good look at Isay. Are Hyodo Isay? Asks the girl, as she blushes as well. Hi. Replies the brown-eyed Japanese male. I'm Amano Yuma and are you seeing anyone at the moment, Hyodo-san? Asks Yuma. No, I'm not seeing anyone right now, answers the brunette. Good. Because you see, would you please go out with me? Asks the young girl. As in a date? Wonders the 17-year-old boy. The black-haired girl nods as she looks down shyly. Okay, I'd like to go out with you. Great. Cheers the young black-haired girl. So when do you want to go out? How about this Sunda, suggests Isay. That would be wonderful. Let's meet up at the mall. Alright. Asks Yuma. Hi. Answers the spiky-haired boy. The long-haired girl's smile brightens even more. Yay, sayonara Isay-kun, says the raven-haired female. Sayonara Yuma-chan, responds the brunette. Both of them then walk off. What they both didn't know is that Kaneko is spying on them from behind a nearby tree. She then leaves without saying a word. Later that night, Rias is sitting in her chair in the same room as before, with an antique lamp on. So a crow has taken an interest in Isay-kun as well? I better put some insurance in place. Gently mutters V, the busty redhead, as she picks up a normal white pawn with a mischievous glint in her bluish-green eyes. Later, on the Sunday morning, Isay is just outside the mall. He is dressed as a black polo shirt with 3 white buttons done up. The shirt has red and white stripes on the ends of his collar. He has a long-sleeved gray shirt undone over it. He has black trousers with a black belt and a silvery buckle. He also has a pair of black dress shoes on. I wonder where she is. Wonders Isay. Excuse me, comes a female's voice. Huh? Mutters the brown-haired boy, as he turns and sees someone next to him. It's a young girl. She's a bit shorter than Isay. She has light skin and rather messy, yet stylish short brown hair. She has big brown eyes and seems to be wearing red lipstick on her lower lip. She's wearing a low-cut short dress that shows the top of her breasts. The dress is mostly red and has an orange bow in the middle of her chest. The bottom of the dress is jagged and the dress has a longer white underskirt that is just as jagged. Her dress happy puffy short detached sleeves. That has black bay-like pieces going over her shoulders and smaller black bat wings coming from her lower back. She has a pair of black boots on and a black frilly choker around her neck and 2 gold bracelets on each wrist. She has a dark red bag on her left arm. Here you go, says the female brunette as hands him a small brown piece of paper that seems to have what looks like a black magic circle on it. Arigato, replies Isay. The girl flashes him a smile before turning and walking off. That was kind of weird, mutters the male brunette. He then takes a closer look at the flyer. He notices that it has some writing on it. We grant your wish. Isay-kun, comes a familiar voice. Isay puts the flyer in his right front pocket in his trouser. Oh, Yuma-chan, says the spiky-haired boy as he turns to the source of his new girlfriend's voice. He sees that like him she's wearing different outfit than when they first met. She's wearing a short black dress and has a short light purple jacket on top and a pair of black sandals. Over her left shoulder lists a pink bag. Gomen nasai. Did I keep you waiting? She asks. Just for a little bit. Don't worry about it, replies her new boyfriend. The new couple walk throughout the shopping district, where other people are walking around and most are accompanied by various CY knights of various shapes and sizes. Yuma then pulls Isay into a clothing store. She takes a look of different kinds of shirts and had Isay stand in front of a mirror to see what they look like on him. Isay blushes at all the attention he's getting from his new girlfriend. She then tries on a puffy pink wristband on her left wrist and the blushing boy nods at how it looks. Later the two of them are in a cafe where Isay is drinking a green drink and Yuma is having a fruit parfait. Later the two of them are walking down the street, when a buzzing noise is heard, causing the two to stop. Isay pulls his iPhone out of his pocket and checks it and sees a reminder on it. Oh man, can't believe I almost forgot, mutters the brown-eyed Japanese boy. What is it, Isay-kun? Asks the violet-eyed girl. It's just a reminder for something I wanted to show you, replies Isay. Really? What? Asks Yuma, as she tilts her head in confusion. Come on, I'll show you, responds the spiky-haired brunette. He then grabs his girlfriend's hand and runs off, guiding his date with him. Soon they both arrive in front of a rather large round building with a large site that says CYKNIGHT as Japanese. Huh? Isn't this the Cyknight War area? Asks Yuma. Hi. I hope you don't mind. It's just that it would be interesting. If you don't want to, we don't have to, rambles Isay. Yuma lets out a small chuckle. It's fine Isay-kun. To be honest, I'm actually interested in Isay, a Cyknight War. Is that right? Asks the girl. Her boyfriend nods. Good. I've never actually seen one before. You haven't? Wonders Isay. No, there aren't any CY Knights where I come from, explains the long-haired girl. Seriously? I thought that CY Knights were common all around the world, replies the young man. If you don't mind me asking, Where do you come from exactly, Yuma-chan? Oh, let's just say I'm from out of town and leave it at that, says his new girlfriend. "K? Oh. Okay," replies her boyfriend. "We better go in, so that we can get some good seats." "Hi," responds the long-haired girl. A bit later the new couple is sitting next to each other in the bleachers of the arena. In the middle of the large room is a big dirt floor that has several large rocks with 2 control booths, one on both ends of the arena. Then on the side of the arena on top of a podium, is a young man in his mid-20s and is about 5 inches 11 feet. He has short black hair and has a pair of sunglasses on. He has a black shirt and a red jacket on with blue jeans and black shoes. "Welcome everyone to today's CY Night War," states the young man. The crowd cheers loudly. "All right, let's get ready. Allow me to introduce today's CY Nighters and their CY Night," states the sunglasses wearing man. First off, we have Ieyasu and his CY Knight, Commando. A young man, with short, light blonde hair and brown eyes. He's wearing a camo muscle shirt that shows off his well-timed arms. He also has dark green baggy trousers and black boots. He's wearing a large headset with a microphone, a green semi-transparent screen over his right eye and under the part of the headset that covers his right ear is a large green gem. Coming from beneath his control room is a CY Knight. This CY Knight is 6 inches tall and has the appearance of a human wearing armor. He seems to be wearing a brown bodysuit. He that green armor that covers his feet and has extra light gray armor trimming the lower half of his feet. His lower legs are covered in armor that's green in the front and darker in the back, and they are separated by a zigzag, with small piece of yellow over the knee area. His leg armor is trimmed by a bit of light gray. His upper legs don't have any armor, but has 2 light gray metal belts that crosses with a round metal buckle in the middle. His torso is covered in green armor with extra thick dark gray armor over the upper torso, with 3 small slots one both sides of his chest. He has green armor that covers the front, top and back of his shoulders, but no the outer edges. He doesn't have any armor on his upper arms, but he has rectangle armor on his forearms, which has the same design as his lower legs and has light gray on the ends of his armor. His hands are covered in black clothes. His head is covered in a helmet with a T-slit. The helmet is mostly green, with markings on the cheek area has the same markings are the forearms and lower legs, but the colors are inverted. Attached to the back of his helmet are 3 large, long brown tubes acting like hair. Attached to the top of his back are 2 large thick tubes that are mostly black as with a white stripe going down the middle. Attached to the end of the right tube is a long red shoulder cannon and attached to the left is a small elongated tube that's mostly black with a white stripe near the front and 3 small missile pointing out the front. Also all the joints are covered by a copper-like substance. The crowd cheers loudly, and their opponents, Yuho and Destroyer, announces the young man on the podium. In the other control room is another young man. He has slicked back black hair and sharp dark gray eyes. He has a black leather jacket over a dark purple shirt. He has black trousers and boots, with purple fingerless gloves. And he has a cocky grin on his face. And over his right arm is a purple bracer with a large dark purple gem in it. Below him, his CY Knight comes out. This CY Knight is the same height and build as Commando. But his armor is much different. For one his bodysuit is pitch black. His feet are mostly black, with purple stripe-like markings on both sides of the feet and is trimmed on the bottom with dark gray armor. His lower legs are covered in thick black armor with purple stripes on the sides of both lower legs and are trimmed in dark gray. Around his waist is a dark gray belt. He has thick chest armor that's mostly black but has purple stripes in the sides of his chest. He has thick shoulder armor that points out to the sides. The shoulder armor is black and is trimmed in dark gray. Coming out from the top his right shoulder armor is a large dark gray high-tech cannon and is pointing straight up. From the top of his left shoulder is a black rectangular case with 3 small purple missile coming out. His upper arms don't have any armor. He has thick armor covering his forearms. The armor is black, but has large purple tropes in the front of his forearm around is trimmed in dark gray. His hands are black and clawed. He has a similar helmet to Commando, but it's black with purple stripes on the side and they can see 2 glowing red eyes peering from beneath the T-shaped slit in his helmet. And on his back is a large black shield that's trimmed in dark gray and has several purple tiger-like stripes on it. Destroyer growls darkly, but that didn't stop the crowd from cheering. "Everybody ready?" asks the shade-wearing man. The crowd cheers louder than ever. "Alright, then let's get to it. Cyknight War commence," declares the announcer. "Commando initiate missile strike," orders Ieyasu. Commando then sends the missiles out and they speed towards Destroyer. "Destroyer, match him," states Yuho, with his smirk. Destroyer growls and then fires his own trio of missiles. Both of the trio of missiles hit each other halfway and causes an explosion. "Commando engage in close-quarter combat," orders the blonde. The green Cyknight rushes forward. "Destroyer, show them your destructive might," instructs the black-haired boy, as he brings his right arm up and speaking into the gem on his bracer. The back and purple Cyknight then roars and rushes forward. The two Cyknights then clash. Commando delivers a right hook and nails his opponent in the jaw. Destroyer staggers back slightly before recovering and retaliates with a slash. But his ducks underneath the attack and successfully hits Destroyer in the gut. "Destroyer, fall back," commands Yuho. His Cyknight growls in annoyance. "Relax. I have a plan," quietly say his Cyknighter. The stripped Cyknight still growls but does what his partner instructs and leaps back. But he finds himself with his back to a large rock pillar. "Ha! Putting yourself in that position. You are truly a fool," insults Ieyasu. "That's what you think," responds the sharp-eyed boy. "Destroyer, turn around and hit the pillar behind you. Then move." "What?" questions his blonde enemy. The clawed Cyknight does as he's told and turns. He then uses his clawed hands to strike the pillar and succeeds in stabilizing the base. He then quickly dives out of the way. Just in time to dodge, as the pillar starts to fall straight towards Commando. "Commando, evasionary tactics now," commands the blonde. Unfortunately, it seems to be too late as the pillar hits the ground, apparently crushing the green Cyknight and kicks up a large dust cloud. "I've heard of a crushing defeat, but this is ridiculous," comments the young sunglasses-wearing man. "Ha! Guess the win is mine," states Yuho. "It's not over yet," states Ieyasu, as a grin spreads over his face. "Commando, missile strike." Suddenly 3 missiles come out from the dust cloud and then slam into Destroyer, causing an explosion and sending the black and purple Cyknight back. "What?" questions the slicked-haired boy as his eyes widen in shock. The dust clears, showing Commando, who had apparently gotten out of the way just in time. "I warned you. Now Commando, finish this with tactical laser," orders the blonde Cyknighter. The green Cyknight then aims his shoulder cannon straight at the still recovering Destroyer. "Destroyer, quick shield defense," shouts Yuho. But it seems too late, as the green Cyknight fires out a large green blast from his cannon. The blast then seems to hit Destroyer and kicks up another dust cloud. "Victory is mine," states the blonde boy. "I'd take your own advice if I were you," counters his opponent. "What are talking about?" asks Ieyasu. "Take a look," says the sharp-eyed boy as his grin widens. "Huh?" mutters the green-eyed boy. He takes a closer look at the battlefield. He then notices something and his eyes widen in shock. "What?" The dust cloud clears and it shows that Destroyer had been able to draw his shield and used it to block the attack. "Surprise! Now Destroyer, show them a real attack with your deviation cannon," states the black-haired Cyknighter. The purple-striped Cyknight then throws away his shield and aims his cannon at his opponent, and he quickly charges his attack and then fires his own powerful purple beam. Unfortunately, Ieyasu is too shocked to do anything, and then the deviation cannon hits Commando dead on. The blast causes a large explosion and sending the green Cyknight far back and land face first. The Commando tries to pushes himself up, but he can't and then falls down completely and becomes still. And there we have it, folks. Today's winner is Yuho and Destroy, exclaims the commentator. The crowd cheers loudly. Yuho simple flashes a cocky grin and Destroyer gives a victorious roar. Soon the couple are outside the area and both are looking happy. "That was amazing. I never knew Cyknight Wars could be so exciting," states Yuma. "I'm glad you enjoyed it, Yuma-chan," says Isay. And, if you don't mind, there's a Cyknight store and I've been meaning to check it out, so maybe we can take a look? Sure. That sounds really interesting actually. Replies his date. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Hi. Agrees the brunette. Soon the couple are going into a large store called Cyber Kingdom. Inside the store is a wide assortment of different parts of various different kinds of Cyknights. Sugoi. This place looks incredible, comments the black-haired girl. Hi. This place is great, agrees Isay. A clerk at the desk notices them. He's a young man with tan skin and short black hair and black eyes under a pair of black-rimmed square glasses. He's wearing a green polo shirt with an orange collar. He had a pair of jeans and in black and white sneakers with a name tag that reads Kato. He take a look at Isay and his eyes widen a bit. Hey, kid, calls out Kato. Isay hears him and turns. You mean me? Asks the brunette as he points to himself. Hi. By any chance are you Hyodo Isay? Wonders the clerk, as he gets out from behind the desk. Hi. That's me. Replies the spiky-haired boy. Why do you have to know? Well, a few days ago we got a large package and message to give it to you if you came in. It even had a picture of you. Explained Kato. Really? Do you have any idea who sent it? Questions the surprised boy. The note was signed by somebody's called Hikari Daisuke, replies the clerk. Daisuke Oji, states Isay in shock. Well, it seems you know him. Wait here, I'll get it from the back. Says the glasses-wearing boy. He then turns and walks through a door. You mean your Oji-san sent you something? Asks Yuma as she tilts her head. Apparently. And I have no idea what it could be. I don't really see my uncle too often and I don't even know what he does. Replies Isay. Hey, here we go. States the clerk. The new couple turn and what they see causes their eyes to widen in shock. Kato is wheeling in a large box that's just over 7 inches tall. The box is simply white. The box has wheels on the back of the bottom and a handle attached to the back. Over the front has a stylized. Sugoi. What is it? Wonders the black-haired girl. I think it's a Cyknight Kit, replies her boyfriend. Yeah. It's what your Oji-san sent and it came with this. Adds Kato as he hands a large round green gem that has a square red casing towards Isay. Sugoi. A Cyknight control device. Gasps the spiky-haired boy. He then takes the device. Arigato. No problem. Replies Kato. Isay-kun, come on. There's one last place I want to see. Says Yuma as she grabs her boyfriend's hand. Hi. Hi. Replies Isay. He puts the controller in his pocket and uses his free hand to grab a hold of the Cyknight Kit's handle and pulls it along, as he's being pulled along by his new girlfriend. A bit later the new couple is in the middle of a park, surrounded by trees and has a large fountain in the middle, and they are the only ones there. Yuma lets go of her boyfriend's hands and moves over to stand in front of the fountain, with her hands behind her back. Isay stays there he is, but he does set the large Cyknight Kit down next to his right. We had a lot of fun today, didn't we Isay-kun? Asks Yuma. Hi, it was a great day. Agrees Isay. Say, Isay-kun, do you mind doing me a favor to commentate our first date? Wonders the young girl. What kind of favor? Asks the spiky hair boy. The black-haired girl then gets a menacing look. Could you die, please? She asks in a cold, menacing tone of voice. And Nani? What do you mean? Asks Isay. Could you die, please? Repeats the girl. She then goes through some kind of transformation. First of all of her clothing are shredded to pieces and then she starts to grow to 5 inches 4 feet and appears older. Her eyes also become darker. She also grows a pair of large black feathered wings. Black leathery substance appears all over her body. The substance solidifies into straps over and under her now lather breasts and 4 smaller straps joins at a small silver ring that's in the middle of her collarbone and a 5th that connects it to a black choker around her neck. A leather thong-like piece that has 1 thick piece over her right hip and 3 smaller straps over her left hip. She has black shoulder armor that points outwards with 3 silvery spikes. Over her arms are long black gloves that reach halfway up her biceps. She has darker straps over her wrists and just below her elbows and at the top of the gloves. She also gains thigh-high heel boots. Why Yuma-chan? Stutters Isay. No, you might as well know my real name. It's Rainier. But it won't matter for long. reveals the black-winged woman, in a much more exotic and revealing tone of voice. She then seemingly summons a spear of pinkish light in her right hand. Now, die. She then throws her weapon straight at Isay. Fortunately Isay is able to move out of the way. But unfortunately, the light spear cuts him in his right shoulder, causing a large amount of blood to spew from the wound. The blood splatters over the ground and the blood spreads out and reaches the Cyknight Kit, causing some of it to seep into the large white box. "Ah!" screams Isay as he falls back and clutches his right arm in pain. Rainier lets out a small dark chuckle. "I must admit, it's impressive that you could dodge that attack. But I'm afraid that your luck has run out." She then summons another pinkish light spear. Suddenly a bright light shines from in Isay's pocket. "What the hell?" questions Rainier, as she cold eyes widen in shock. Isay notices the light and reaches inside his pocket with his right hand. He pulls out the Cyknight control device and sees that the gem in the device is glowing brightly. "What the?" mutters the brunette. The device then glows brighter and suddenly goes through a transformation. The device had transformed into a red thick armor gauntlet on his right arm, that extends over the back of his hand, but leaves the fingers uncovered and has the large green gem on top of the backhand and a smaller oval-shaped orange gem in the middle of the gauntlet. It has two large golden blades, one both sides of the gauntlet that points backwards. Both of them look at the gauntlet in shock and awe. "Is that his sacred gear?" mutters Rainier. She then take a closer look. "No, it's just one of those stupid Cyknight control devices." Sugoi, says Isay as he looks at his new device. "That stupid piece of junk won't save you. Now die," declares Rainier. But once again they are interrupted, this time by a loud growling sound. "What the fuck is happening now?" questions the black-winged woman. They turn to see that the growling sound is coming from the Cyknight Kit box, which is shaking. Suddenly the box explodes open and reveals the Cyknight that was inside. It's a large 7 inches robot that heavily resembles an anthropomorphic dragon. He has crimson red feet with 3 large golden coming from the front of each foot. He has ruby red armor covering the ankle joints, with fiery ornaments on the outsides of his ankle armor. His lower legs are covered in thick crimson red armor with a ruby red spike coming out from the top, front of each lower leg, covering the knees. In the middle of each spike is a small round emerald sphere. His upper legs are thinner and a lighter shade of crimson red. His waist is covered in crimson red armor with a golden tube belt. He has scarlet armor that covers the ab and torso and is trimmed in gold. He has thick crimson red shoulder armor that has ruby red armor over the top, outer edges of the shoulder armor with 3 large golden claws coming from the shoulder armor. His upper arms are covered in lighter shade of crimson red. He has thin crimson red forearms with ruby red spikes that come out of the elbow area, with small emerald spheres in the middle of each. Around his wrist are tube red armor. He has human hands, that has crimson red armor over the back of his hands. The rest of the hand is a much darker shade of red. He has a short reptilian neck that's mostly crimson red, except for the front of its neck, which is a rose shade. He has a reptilian face with a large beak and the head is entirely crimson red, with small jagged teeth. He has 2 short gold spikes, coming from the back of his head, acting as horns. He has green eyes and 2 large red metallic wings coming from his back. The red dragon-like robot lets out a powerful roar. "A stupid robot lizard?" asks Rainier. That causes the large Cyknight to growl. "Well, might as well destroy your toy before I finish you off," states the long-haired female. She then turns and throws her light spear straight at the red Cyknight. "No!" cries out Isay. Then the Cyknight does something unexpected. He raises his right fist and punches the light spear, causing it to shatter. "What the hell? That's freaking impossible," shouts the violet-eyed girl. The dragon-based Cyknight growls loudly and glares at the female. "Whatever. It's not worth the trouble. But beware, I will be back to finish the job," swears the long-haired girl. She then spreads her wings and flies off into the sky. The red dragonic Cyknight growls at the retreating figure of Rainier. But he's stopped by the sound of deep groaning. He turns to see Isay, who's groaning and looking paler by the second. The brunette then faints from blood loss. The last thing he sees is the red Cyknight standing over him, before everything goes dark. Later everything is still black to Isay. Kiddo. Hey, kiddo. Wake up. Wake up already. Calls out a deep masculine voice. Isay groans as he cracks his eyes open. He sees a familiar ceiling and sunshine shining on him. He gets up and notices that he's back in his own bed. He also notices that he has bandages over his right shoulder. Over the area he had been cut. What happened last night? Wonders Isay as he grabs his head with his right hand. That's what I want to know, comes that same deep masculine voice. Huh? Mutters the spiky-haired boy as he looks around and notices the red dragon Cyknight is standing in the corner of his room and has his arms crossed. That's Cyknight. Hi, whatever. Now can you tell me what on earth am I doing in this tin can? Asks the red-winged robot. Isay's eyes widen and does the one thing he can think of. He screams. Nani. Ch1 of 8 Next, Chapter 2. The Worlds Collide. The Worlds Collide, ah, screams Isay. Ah. Kiddo, shut up. You're killing hearing. States the dragon Cyknight, as he clamps his hands over the sides of his head. Isay then finally stops screaming as tries to catch his breath. You talk, stutters the spiky-haired boy as his eyes stay wide. Hi, I can talk. Now will you please explain what the fuck I'm doing in this tin can of a body? Questions the red robot, as he lowers his hands. And Nani? What do you mean? Asks Isay. I mean, why am I suddenly in this body? Clarifies the dragon-themed Cyknight, as he crosses his arms. Before Isay had the chance to answer they hear a knock on Isay's bedroom door. Isay-kun? Are you alright in there? Asks a kind woman's voice from the other side of the door. I heard screaming in someone else's voice. Oka-san. Stutters the brunette. Isay-kun, I'm coming in, says his mother. Wait. Mutters her son, but she doesn't seem to hear him as she opens the door. Isay's mother is a middle-aged woman. She has long dark brown hair that she has in a low ponytail with short bangs over her forehead and longer bangs framing her face. She has light brown eyes like her son, but has a couple of small wrinkles under her eyes. And despite her age she still has a rather good figure. She's wearing a short-sleeved white dress shirt and a pair of blue jeans and white socks. The mother instantly notices that her son's right arm is bandaged. Oh my god! Gasps the female Hyodo. She quickly rushes over to her son's side, whilst completely missing the large red dragonic Cyknight. She then gently touches the bandages over her child's arm. This causes Isay to wince slightly in pain. What happened to you, Isay-kun? Well, you see, mumbles the Japanese male. He got attacked by a few muggers last night, but I stepped in and stopped them. Unfortunately I couldn't react fast enough and your son got cut on his arm, by one of those idiots who had a knife, and soon fainted from. I got him back and bandaged him up. Lies the 7 inches robot. Isay's mother turns around and finally notices the large Cyknight. A Cyknight? Where did it come from? Asks the female brunette. Oh, he was apparently sent by Disuke Oja-san. I picked him up at that new Cyknight store yesterday. Explains Isay. Really? So Oni-san sent you a surprise gift. I don't if we can keep a Cyknight though. Says Isay's mother as she cups her chin in thought. Isay's eyes widen. Nani? But wait. Maybe he can help around the house, you know, help you clean and cook. You do say that you could always use some help. Suggests her son. The red Cyknight stares at Isay in shock for a moment, before his face changes into a look of anger. Well, that's true. So does our new friend have a name? Wonders the older human. A name? Mutters Isay. He looks uncertain for a moment before he thinks of something. His name is Akaryu. The now named Akaryu looks at him with a confused expression that basically says, what?
Well then, why don't you get dressed and meet me downstairs? You have to leave for school soon. Reminds the ponytailed woman. She then starts to walk off towards the door, but stops just in front of the door and she turns around. And welcome to the family Akaryu. She then opens the door, leaves and closes the door behind her. After she had gone, Akaryu turns and glares as Isay, causing the brunette to gulp lightly. What the hell was that? You can't just go around saying I'll do something without my consent. And what the fuck was with that name, Akaryu, Red Dragon? That's not my name, states the angry Red Dragon Cyknight. Gomen-nasai.
but I couldn't think of anything else that would get Okawa-san to allow you to stay and I never actually had a chance to ask you name. Explains Isay. Speak of which, what is your real name? The large Cyknight just sighs and rolls his eyes before looking back at Isay. It's Draig, but you might as well call me Akaryu when we are in public. Got it? Wonders Draig. Hi. Replies Isay. He then thinks of something else. I need to get dressed, so. Draig sighs again. I'll be outside. States the strange Cyknight. He then turns, but before he starts to walk off, he looks over his shoulder at Isay. Before I forget, don't tell anyone what happened last night. They probably won't believe you and don't talk about that girl you were out with last night. I doubt anyone will remember anything about her. Nani? What do you mean? Wonders the brunette, as he looks at the large robot, with his head tilted in confusion. I'll explain everything later. Now get a move on. Replies the red Cyknight. He then walks off and ducks down to get through the door. A bit later at the old building outside of the school, Rias is sitting in her chair with a Kano standing next to her. The redhead isn't looking happy at all, in fact she seems very annoyed. What's the problem? Asks the black-haired girl. Something happened last night, but I can't seem to figure out what. Replies the redhead. Akano blinks a bit. What do you mean, Rias? She wonders. I mean that there was proof that Isay-kun was indeed attacked and the residual magic in the area confirms it was by a fallen angel. But there was no body, the seal didn't activate. And when I had Kaneko check, she reported that he had somehow ended up back at his house and I can for the love of Mao, figure out how he survived. Explains the busky girl. Well, I guess that plan to recruit him into your peerage failed. But I must admit I am relieved that he didn't die. Admits Akano. True. It is a relief. Agrees Rias. She then sighs and crosses her arms under her large bust. I'll just have to try a different method. Hi. And you better do so fast or Sona might swoop him up for herself. Reminds her equally busty friend. True. Mutters the redhead. Later at the Hyodo residence, Draig uses a broom to sweep the hallway. He's also wearing a white apron as he does his work. You know, this is actually rather calming. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. Who would have guessed? Think the large Cyknight, as he continues to sweep the floor. He then lets out a small, quiet chucking. Isay's mother then comes out from the kitchen and she has a bento box in her hands. Akaryu-kun, Isay-kun forget to take his lunch. Could you please take it to him? Requests the mother, as she holds the bento box towards him. Hi. I'd be happy to do so. Replies Draig as he stops what he's doing. He put the broom against the wall and takes off the apron and hangs it on a nearby hook. He then walks over to the woman and gently takes the bento box for her. Arigato Akaryu-kun. Thanks the kind mother. No problem. Replies the large Cyknight. The red-winged robot then turns around and walks over to the front door. He opens the door and ducks down to get thrown and then closes the door after him. Maybe I should see if I can get the doors enlarged. Mutters the woman, as she tilts her head slightly and rests a finger on her cheek as she thinks about it. Outside the house, Draig just goes through the gate. He then stands at the pavement. I better get this to Isay fast. Seems like a good opportunity to see how well this body flies, says the strange robot. He then securely places the box under his right arm. He then looks straight up and spreads his legs slightly apart to give him a strong base. He then spreads the wings on his back. The wings then releases a pinkish fire-like energy. He then bends his legs SL and leaps up into the air and then flies off into the sky. A bit later during the break between their classes, the students are all walking around and enjoy their bit of free time. Isay is walking along all alone. Hyodo Isay calls out a very proudful voice from behind the brunette. The new Cyknighter turns around and sees who said that. It's a young man who's about 18 years old and 5 inches 10 feet. He has short black hair brushed back and black eyes. He's wearing the school's male uniform, but has the blazer undone. "Ah man. What's that baka doing here?" questions one of the students nearby. "What's the Kocho's kid doing now?" wonders another student. "I hate that guy. He's disgusting and a no-good pervert," comments a Katase. "Hi. He's even worse than the pervert duo," agrees Murayama. "He thinks he can get away with anything just because his two sans the Kocho," says another student. "He's repulsive," insults another female student. Daku noberu sama. Stutters Isay. What do you want? I'm afraid to inform you that your gaming club has to be disbanded, immediately. States Noberu, as he crosses his arms. Nani? Disbanded? But why? Questions the spiky-haired boy. Because I plan to turn that room that your pathetic little club is using into a much-needed relaxation room, for myself only of course, states the headmaster's son. Nani? But that's not fair, replies the new Cyknighter. Oh, excuse me? Is your 2-san the Kocho? No. Then your opinions doesn't matter, states the young Daku. Now I suggest that you move all of your stupid nerdy tech stuff out of that room by tomorrow morning, or I might just have a word with 2-san about expelling you. Nani? Shouts Isay. Everyone else in the area gasps. That's not fair. Calls out one of the side. Hi. I know for a fact that Hyodo worked hard to get his club and that jerk's trying to take it all away, adds a male student. That baka. Insults another. But, stutters the shocked brunette. Oh. Kiddo, over here, calls out a familiar deep voice. I mean a Karyu, states Isay as he quickly corrects himself. Everyone turns to the source of the voice and sees draig walking over to them, with the bento box under his arm. Sugoi. Gasps a student as they state at the large Cyknight. That Cyknight looks super strong, comments a male student. And super cool, adds another. I wonder what it wants without Hyodo, wonders a fourth student. The only one not impressed by draig is Daku Noberu. The snobbish brat just glares at the winged Cyknights, with his arms crossed. The red dragon Cyknight walks over and stands in front of Isay, completely ignoring everyone else. Akaryu, what are you doing here? Questions Isay. You forgot your lunch and your Okawa-san asked me to bring it to you, explains draig. So here. He then passes the bento box to the spiky-haired boy. Arigato. Thanks the brown-eyed boy as he takes his lunch. And who exactly is this piece of junk? Questions Noberu. His words greatly anger the dragon-themed Cyknight. What? Roars draig as he turns around and glares at the black-haired boy. Who are you calling a piece of junk? The arrogant male just huffs and looks at Isay, who's looking more and more nervous. I assume that this hunk of junk is your. Assumes the jerkish boy. And being called yet another insult causes draig to growl even louder. So how long have you had this Cyknight? I just got him yesterday, admits Isay. A creep grin then spreads across the arrogant boy's face. Really? Then I think I may have an idea to settle this issue we have, says Noberu. What idea? Asks the young Hyodo. Why, we have a Cyknights war, right here, after school. If you win you can keep your little club room and that pathetic excuse for a club you have, explains the black-eyed Japanese male. And if you win? Wonders the new Cyknighter user. When I win, not only does your stupid club disband and I get the room, but I also get your Cyknight. I always could use another servant. So, do we have a deal? Asks the black-haired boy. And Nani? Stutters Isay. That baka. Insults another student. How's that fair? Hyodo just said he just got his Cyknight and he's had his for months. Hyodo's totally outmatched, states a female student. I think that's the point, responds her friend. So, Isay, what's your answer? Wonders Noberu. Well, mutters the brown-eyed student. Kiddo, states draig. His voice causes Isay to look at the red Cyknight. The boy's brown eyes widen as he sees the burning look in the strange Cyknight's green eyes. Accept his challenge. Akaryu. Well I guess I don't have any other choice, mutters Isay. He then lets out a big sigh and turns to the spoiled brat. I accept. Excellent. Well see you after school and prepare to lose, responds Daku Noberu. He then walks off. What a brat, growls draig as he clenches his fists tightly. Hi. But can we really win? Wonders Isay. Don't talk like that. Ever. States the red Cyknight. If you talk like you could lose, then it is as if the fight's already over. You must never lose the will to fight. You must keep on fighting until the very end. Victory only goes to those who are willing to fight to obtain it. Akaryu. Stutters the brown-haired boy as he stares at the dragon-themed Cyknight. I can tell that you worked hard to make this club and have struggled to keep it going. The only question now is, are you willing to fight for it now? Asks the winged robot as he looks at his partner. Isay remains wide-eyed for a moment, before he gains a look of fierce determination. "Hi," states the Japanese boy. Draig then adopts a slight smile. "That's the look I wanted to see, kiddo," says the large Cyknight. Isay just smiles in return. In the crowd that's just dissipating, Kiba is watching the two of them with keen interest. "Ria-sama will want to know about this," quietly says the blonde. Later during their lunch break, Isay and Draig are in the robotic gaming club's room. "So just to confirm, in a Cyknight war I'm just allowed to hurt the opponent's Cyknight and not the Cyknighter. Is that right?" asks the 7 inches tall robot. "And if we win we get a part of the Cyknights we defeat as a prize?" "That's right," replies Isay. "Although I'm surprised you don't know this already. I thought that all Cyknights knew this and was a part of your basic programming." "Kiddo, I keep telling you, I'm not really a Cyknight. At least not mentally," says Draig. "Then what are you?" asks the spiky-haired boy. "I'm," starts the large Cyknight, but is stopped by the sound of knocking at the door. "What now?" They hear the knocking again. "Come in," says Isay. The door opens revealing Motohama and Matsuda. "Konnichiwa," greets the two well-known perverts. "Motohama-san. Matsuda-san. What are you two doing here?" asks the spiky-haired boy. "We're here to help you beat Noberu Baka," states Matsuda. "And to say we're sorry for using what you taught us to peep in girls and get you in so much trouble," adds Motohama. "It's all right," replies Isay. "But how could you guys help me?" "Well, first I think we should find out Akaryu's special art moves," suggests the glasses-wearing boy. "You mean his unique attacks that he can use?" asks the brown-eyed Japanese male. "Hi. Summon your Cyknight control device and we can see what they are and we can check his stats whilst we are at it," replies the bald boy. "Hi," responds Isay. He brings out the small device and then the gem glows brightly. It then transforms into the armored bracer form. "Sugoi. Cool-looking controller," compliments Motohama. "Arigato. Now how do we look up his stats?" wonders the spiky-haired brunette. "Just tap the gem and it will show you the stats," explains the needy pervert. "Oh hi," replies the brown-eyed boy. He uses his left fingers to tap the gem of his bracer. A small hologram of Draig comes out from the gem. Some statistics come out as well. "Ha. A dragon-type Cyknight. Pretty obvious. Speciality is close-range fighting. His strength, speed, agility and power are incredible. His elemental affinity is fire. Kind of obvious," lists Matsuda. "But I wonder what his special art move is." Suddenly the green gem of the bracer starts to flash. "Nani?" questions Isay. He then presses the round gem on his controller. Some words then appear on the gem and the spiky-haired boy reads it out aloud. "Flare boost." "Sounds awesome," admits Motohama. "Why don't you try it out?" "Hi," responds the bracer-wearing boy. "Special art, flare boost." He then hit the gem with his palm. A few seconds pass and absolutely nothing happens. "Well, that was a dud," mutters Draig, as he somehow sweat drops. How about we skip the special moves and just focus on fighting hand-to-hand?" suggests Matsuda. "Hi. That's probably best," agrees his glasses-wearing friend. "Why didn't that work?" thinks Isay, as he stares at his controller. Meanwhile, Rias is again in that room and is drinking a cup of tea and sitting in her chair with her long legs crossed. Akano is standing next to her redhead friend, with her arms crossed under her chest. Kaneko is sitting on the couch and is eating some candy. Kiba is standing at attention on the opposite side of the table to Rias. The busty red-haired girl puts her cup down on the table on a coaster. "So Isay-kun and his new Cyknight are going to fight Noberu after school?" asks the bluish-green-eyed girl. "Hi Rias-sama," confirms the only male in the room. "Well, this should be interesting to watch," says Rias. Later, after school had finished, a large group of students are gathered around in a large circle. In the middle of the circle are Isay, with his control bracer on and Draig on one end, with Noberu standing opposite to them. He's using a Cyknight control device that's in the shape of a black cane that has gold plating around the tip with a large purple gem on the top. "Allow me to introduce my Cyknight. The great and skilled Strike Shade," stated the snobbish boy, as the gem on his cane starts to glow and sends out a thin beam of purple light that hits the ground and causes a pillar of purple light to shoot up into the sky. The pillar of light causes gusts of wind to spread out. The pillar then disappears and reveals a black-colored Cyknight. This Cyknight is 5 inches 10 feet and resemble a young man and a ninja. He has streamlined armor. The ninja-like robot seems to be wearing a bodysuit that's mostly black with white in the sides of his stomach area and on the outsides of his hips. He has pointed foot armor that's black along the edges and is white on the top of his feet. Cyknight has golden-colored armor going around the ankles with small purple gems in the ankle area. His lower legs are white with extra black armor going over the upper edges and sides of his lower with large knee armor. Along the back of his legs are additional piece of armor that points backwards. Around his waist he has a thick black belt with golden-colored buckle and an additional piece of gold-colored armor on the back of his belt. He has armor covering his upper torso. The armor is mostly black with the bottom being trimmed in a golden color. He has extra armor padding going between his neck and shoulder. On the middle of his chest is a piece of gray armor that has a crisscross pattern, making it resemble a fishnet shirt, and he has gold around his collars. He has spherical shoulder armor that is black. He doesn't have any extra armor over his upper arms. Over his left forearm is thick black armor with a bit of gray going over his elbow. Attached to the front of his forearm is a pentagonal purple gem that points outwards. With thick golden-colored armor trimming over the front edge of his forearm that slightly goes over the front of his hand, which is rather large and seems to be covered in a white glove. His right arm is much different. In fact, it's not even a real arm. Instead, it's a large blaster-like device. It's slightly bulky, clashing with the rest of his body. It's mostly black and has 4 sides with triangular points come out. On the sides of the right arm are the gray hexagonal-shaped vents. Around the middle of it is a golden stripe. On the bottom of the stripe is a golden-yellow hexagonal shape, and on the bottom of the arm is a piece of white plating. On the top is a semi-oval that's black on the back half, and the front half is a purple gem. In the middle of the blaster is a large purple gem. He has purple eyes and is shown to have a bit of tan skin. But, most of his head is covered by a streamlined black helmet with circular vents on the sides of his helmet and a sharp blade fin that points backwards. He has a triangular purple gem on his forehead and has gold trimming around the face area and a simple black mouthpieces. "Now, shall we begin?" asks the young Daku. "Hi," states Isay. "Then let the Cyknight war commence," replies Noberu. "Akaru attack," orders the spiky-haired boy. Draig then rushes forward fast. "Strike, shade, dodge and counterattack," commands the black-haired boy. The red dragon Cyknight continues to rush forward and raises his right arm to prepare a punch. The winged robot sends a powerful punch forward. Unfortunately, the small Cyknight jumps over Draig's punch, and whilst upside down and in mid-air, Strike Shade raises his right arm, blaster, and sends out a single shot that hit the red Cyknight right in the back. "Ah!" roars Draig out in pain. He reaches back and pulls whatever Strike Shade shot with him with. He brings it forward and sees that it is a shuriken. "A ninja star? You've got to be kidding me." "Akaru, be careful. Strike Shade specializes in speed, so he'll be hard to hit," informs Isay. "Hi. I already got that much," replies the dragon-type Cyknight. "Well, since he's so fast, his armor has to be very thin, and that means that he has really low defense. One good powerful hit should be enough to defeat him," explains the spiky-haired boy. "Really? Arigato for the info," replies the winged robot. "Hi, and you should use your wings for extra thrust, it may help you keep pace with Strike Shade," instructs the brunette. "Here's my plan, so please listen." He then brings the control bracer closely and whispers his plan. "Hi," states the green-eyed robot, as a big grin grows on his face. Draig then spreads his wings and activates them. He then rushes forward again, much faster than before. Strike Shade sees this and once again leaps over his opponent. The black and white Cyknight then feels something happens to his left leg. The purple-eyed Cyknight looks down and his eyes widen at what he sees. Draig had grabbed a hold of his opponent's left leg with his right hand. He has a smirk on his face. The 7 inches CY Knight slams Strike Shade on the ground hard and then throw him away. The strange robot then bends his knees and activates his wings and zooms forward. But before he can reach Strike Shade, a voice calls out. Hercules Z intercept. Orders no barrel. His cane then glows for a moment and then a purple flash occurs. Then draig got body checked by a large black figure, knocking the red-winged CY Knight off course. Nani? Questions Isay. draig quickly recovers and pushes himself up and puts a hand on his head with his eyes shut tightly. Airman. What hit me? Mutters the 7 inches tall robot. He then opens his eyes and sees exactly what hit him. Nani? It was a very large CY Knight. This CY Knight is very tall at a total of 7 inches 8 feet tall and appears to be very muscular man wearing a black bodysuit. He has large white feet, with black armor going around the bottom of the feet and going through the middle. He has very thick armor over the ankles with small turbines on the ankle area. His lower legs are covered in very thick black armor, with a slight bit of extra armor going on the sides of his legs. He has thick armor around the knee area and has a bit of thicker armor over the knee, with 2 small golden cubes in the upper half of the knee armor. He doesn't have any armor on his upper legs. He has tight black armor covering his waist, with a white, vaguely T-shape on the front. He has a thick black belt and a large vaguely T-shaped golden buckle. He has heavy and thick black armor that resembles muscles, with a large black armor collar. He has a small hexagonal-shaped piece of white armor in the middle of his chest and a purple hexagon-shaped gem just above the middle. He has large spherical-shaped shoulder. His upper arms don't have any armor, but he has large and thick round armor covering his forearms, with smaller pieces going over his elbows. Going around the middle of his forearms are thick rings of golden-colored armor, with small triangular pieces keeping it in place. He also has huge white fists, with the joints being gray and lighter gray semi-spheres on the knuckles. He has a relatively small head, that's covered in a thick helmet, that has a T-shaped gap, that reveals he has a white robotic human-like face with purple eyes. In his cheeks are a pair of vents. Going along the middle of his forehead is a white streak, that also has a small rectangular purple gem. And he has a pair large black horns. And Nani? What is that thing? Questions Isay, as he stares at the Goliath in shock. He is Hercules Z. My other CY Knight. Now, Strike Shade, Hercules Z, end this foolish piece of junk. Orders Nobaru. The huge CY Knight runs over and traps draig's arms from behind. Strike Shade then recovers and from the blaster comes a laser blade that slightly curves at the tip, like a katana. He proceeds to relentlessly slash draig, causing the red CY Knight to roar out in pain. Hey, that's not fair, it's 2-on-1, shouts Murayama. That baka. He'd cheating, says Katase. Nobaru hears that and turns to look at the two. He has a rather disturbingly dark look in his eyes and a twisted grin in his face. Cheating? I'm not cheating. After all, we never said that I had only used one CY Knight. Did we? Rhetorically asks the spoiled brat. He then turns back to watching his CY Knights mercilessly beating draig. Akaryu, cries out Isay, as tears started to well up in his eyes. What am I supposed to do? Suddenly draig's words echo in his head. If you talk like you could lose, then it is as if the fight's already over. You must never lose the will to fight. You must keep on fighting until the very end. Victory only goes to those who are willing to fight to obtain it. The spiky-haired brunette grips his hands tightly and his brown eyes gain a new fire in them. Akaryu, don't give up. Keep fighting, shouts Isay. draig looks at his partner and smiles. Kiddo may have what it takes to be a dragon yet. Thinks the red-winged CY Knight. He then turns back to his opponents. Enough of this. He then uses his left leg to push Strike Shade's blade away. He then uses his other foot to push the small one of his foes back. He then uses all of his strength and surprisingly breaks free. Before Hercules Z had a chance to react, the winged CY Knight grabs the large robot's right arm and actually throws him towards Strike Shade. But the smaller robot moves out of the way. These acts causes everyone to be shocked silent. Suddenly on the gem on Isay's CY Knight control device starts flashing. The young brunette looks at it and sees that the name of draig's special move is flashing in it. He looks at his partner, who simply nods in reply. The young student's eyes sharpen and he nods as well. Special art. Flare boost, declares Isay, as he uses his left hand to hit the gem. This time it actually does something. It shoots out a thin red beam that hits the winged Cyknight. Draig starts to growl and then roars loudly, as a circle of energy appears around him. It then becomes a pillar of energy that then comes together and goes into his hand, causing them to glow red and gain an aura similar to fire. Draig spreads his wings and activates them. He then zooms forward at a breakneck pace. He first arrives at Strike Shade and hammers him with a powerful left hook. The force causes that hand lose its aura and stop glowing. But it also causes Strike Shade to fly back and roll along the ground before stopping and going limp. The red Cyknight then turns and rushes towards Hercules Z. The dragon-themed Cyknight uses his right fist to hit the giant Cyknight. The black robot crosses his arms and was able to block the attack. Both large Cyknights begin to struggle against each other. "Go Akaryu!" cries out Isay. Draig gives one loud roar and with a sudden burst of strength, overpowers the larger robot, actually sending the huge Cyknight back quite a distance, and the behemoth tries to get up, but can't and falls and becomes still. Draig then lets out a victorious roar. "We won! We did it!" mutters the spiky-haired boy, Yosha. All the other students then erupt into celebration, as they gather around both of the victors. "No, this can't be," mumbles Noberu, as he drops his cane and falls to his knees. The only ones not gathering around Isay and Draig is Rias and her group. "I must admit that was incredible. I never know Cyknights could be so powerful," says Kiba. "Strong," comments Kaneko. My. That Cyknight of Isay-kun is incredibly strong. Don't you agree, Rias?" asks Akano, as she turns and looks at her friend. She then notices that the redhead seems to be frozen in shock. "Rias, what's the matter?" "That attack that machine used. It was powered by magic," stutters the busty red-haired girl. The others of her little group all stare at her in shock. Later, Isay and Draig are both back at their home. Isay is sitting next on the couch, and Draig, who's back in his apron and is continuing to do sweeping. The spiky-haired boy looks at the Cyknight with a rather confused expression. "Why are you wearing an apron and sweeping the floor?" asks the brunette. "Your Okawa-san asked me to do some sweeping and she's so kind I couldn't refuse. Besides, you're the one who said I'd do some housekeeping, remember?" asks Akaryu. "Oh. Gomen nasai," replies his partner. "Don't be. I actually find this kind of enjoyable," replies the large robot. "Oh. Hi," replies Isay. "Hey kiddo," states Draig, as he stops his sweeping and looks at his partner. "Hi," replies the spiky-haired Japanese boy. "You know those parts we won off that Gaki's Cyknights?" asks the red Cyknight. "You mean Strike Shade's Blade Blaster and Hercules Z's Titan Legs?" wonders the brown-eyed boy. "Yeah, those," confirms the green-eyed robot. "I was just thinking. We're going to store them somewhere. So where are we going to do it?" "Oh, that's actually a good question. To be honest, I haven't even thought about it," mutters Isay. He thinks in silence for a few seconds before he gets an idea. "Hey, we can keep them in the storage room." "Nani?" asks the Cyknights. "It's a big room in the house that we store things in when we're not using them. There's plenty of room in there to store the parts," explains the Japanese student. "Sounds like a good idea," says the winged Cyknight. They then remain in silence for a few seconds, but then Isay thinks of something. "Hey, you said you'd explain what you are and what Rainair was," reminds the spiky-haired brunette. "Oh, right. I did say that, didn't I? Well, I might as well explain everything," says the large dragonic Cyknight, as he stops sweeping again. "First of all, you must understand that the supernatural, just about every myth and legend, is true and real. Maybe I should get Daisuke Ojisan over and take a look at him. I think his brain's malfunctioning," mutters the new Cyknighter. "I can still hear you," deadpans the red robot. "And you did get attacked by a woman with wings and used a spear made out of light. So keep an open mind, would ya?" "Alright. Continue." Days in Isay. "Like I said, my name is Draig and I am a dragon. And not just any dragon. I am one of the 2 heavenly dragons and the Red Dragon Emperor. Many years ago, the 3 great factions, the devils, the angels and the fallen angels fought each other in a great war. During this time I was engaged in a battle with my rival, Albion, the White Dragon Emperor. When their war interrupted our battle and in a state of rage at them, we attacked all three factions at once. In doing so we killed many powerful beings on all sides. But in the end we were both overwhelmed. Our bodies were destroyed and our souls were sealed inside powerful weapons called sacred gears by the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible created the sacred gears to give them to humanity so that they could potentially survive against the magical beings. Sacred gears manifest in humans randomly, and when a user dies, the sacred gear disappears and finds a new host. My sacred gear and the one you have is the boosted gear, one of the 13 Longinus. What's a Longinus, asks the Japanese youth. A Longinus is a special type of sacred gear that could kill even a god. Responds the Red Dragon Emperor. And that girl that attacked you was a fallen angel. It's something happened and I ended up in this Cyknight body. But why would she attack me? Asks the spiky-haired boy. Because they knew you have a powerful sacred gear and they wanted to get rid of you before you could become a threat to them, explains Draig. But why? I didn't even know that I had a sacred gear and I didn't even know they really existed. So why did they see me as a potential threat? And how did they even know I have one in the first place? Questions the brown-eyed boy. It doesn't matter. All they see is that you can become powerful and want to stop you before you even get a chance to grow. But, I'm pretty sure that the fallen angel that attacked you was a rouge. And from what I can tell, devils, angels and fallen angels have developed a technique that allows them to detect a person that holds a sacred gear. Explains the green-eyed robot. Hi. I think I get it. Replies Isay. By the way, if your soul is supposed to sealed in the boosted gear, then how is it that your soul is in the Cyknight body? I have absolutely no idea. But let's forget it for now and we'll deal with it later. Alright. Asks the 7 inches robot. Hi. Replies the 5 inches 7 feet human. Good. Now I had to go help you Okawa-san with dinner. States Draig. He then walks off. The next day Isay is walking to school. As he walks through the gate he's suddenly swamped by other students. That was amazing, Isay-san. States a student. You put that baka in his place. Cheers a girl. That Cyknight of yours was awesome. Compliments another. Yeah, he was a real ace and that special art move, we all the fire was so cool, shouts an energetic student. Hi. He's a real fiery ace, says a boy. That's not a bad nickname, comments another. This is ridiculous, thinks Isay. Excuse me. Pardon me. Gomenasai, comes a male's voice. Isay turns to the source of that voice as the crowd moves out of the way, revealing Kiba. Yuto-san. Mutters the spiky-haired boy. Konnichiwa, Isay-san. Greets the blonde. Yuto-san. What are you doing here? Asks Isay. I'm here to offer you an invitation from Ria-sama, to come to the Occult Research Club after school. Replies Kiba. And to bring your Cyknight with you. She's very excited to meet him. Hi. Replies the brunette. The blonde just smiles and then walks away. Later Isay and Draig are walking through the forest that leads to the Occult Research Club's building. So who will we meeting, kiddo? Asks the Cyknight with the soul of a dragon. The Occult Research Club. It's actually really small. There are actually only 4 members, but each of them are super popular. There's Tojo Kaneko, the school's unofficial mascot. Yuto Kiba, the prince of Kuo Academy. And the 2 great Oni-chans, the most popular girls in school, Hamejima Akeno and Gremory Rias, replies his partner. The large robot looks at the shorter brunette. Did you just say, Gremory? Wonders the Dragon Emperor. Hi. Why do you ask? Questions the brown-eyed boy. Just wondering. Don't worry about it. Replies the large robot with a soul. Could she really be one of them? And if so, what will she do next? Maybe I can get them to help back my club, thinks the brown-eyed human. Soon in the Occult Research Club building the 2 of them are right outside of the door. Isay then knocks on the door. Come in. Comes the velvet voice of Rias. The spiky-haired boy then opens the door and goes in, with Draig ducking underneath top of the door and follows after his partner in. Inside Kiba and Kaneko are sitting on the couch. Rias is sitting in her chair with Akeno standing next to her. Please take a seat. We have much to discuss, says the busty redhead, as she gestures to a chair across the table from her. Hi, replies the Japanese boy. He then sits in the chair and draig stands behind him. Now, Gremory-sama, I was hoping to talk to you about. Issei-kun, please call me Rias, and actually, before we proceed there's something you should know, says the female Gremory. Oh, really? What is it? Asks Isay. It's that everyone in the occult research club are devils, reveals Rias. Issei's eyes widen. I knew it, thinks draig as his glare hardens. Meanwhile, at the same time, a young girl is just walking out of the airport, in the next town over. The girl is 17-year-old. She's kind of short at 5 inches 1 foot. She has long golden blonde hair with 2 split bangs over her forehead and a single strand that spikes up. She also has kind green eyes. She has rather normal-sized breast and a rather slim figure. She's wearing a dark teal nun outfit with light blue accents. She's wearing a white veil over her head that has light blue accents and a brown satchel over her right hip. She has a pair of brown boots with black straps in an X-shaped pattern. Around her neck is a necklace with a silver cross on it. She also is pulling a light blue suitcase. I wonder which way it is to Kuo, wonders the female blonde. Excuse me ma'am, but, did you just say you were going to Kuo? Asks a male voice with a thick American accent. The blonde turns to see a young man. The young male is 19 years old and is 5 inches 10 feet. He has a slight muscular figure. The boy has messy brown hair that's partly hidden by a brown cowboy hat with a black ribbon. He's wearing a white collared dress shirt with a brown dress vest over it. He has a pair of black trousers and matching belt. He's wearing a pair leather cowboy boots and a set of spears. He's wearing a long brown cowboy cloak. He has a light brown drawstring bag over his right shoulder. Standing beside him is a very large, 7 inches Cyknight that hunches over. Not much can be seen, as the Cyknight